Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows. Today, I want to talk about Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's a superhero action-adventure movie that follows Billy Batson and his family as they fend off an attack from the Daughters of Atlas. It was written by Henry Gayden and Chris Morgan and directed by David F. Sandberg. As a film, it follows three major storylines with a couple of B plot lines that happen in the background. Shazam! Fury of the Gods opens with the Daughters of Atlas enacting their plan to recover the Seed of Life, a magical object protected by the wizard Shazam that can bring life back into their world. Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren play the two sisters Calypso and Hespera. They open the movie by breaking into a museum that houses the two broken halves of the wizard's staff. We get a great introduction to these two titans and watch as they drive the people around them insane with magic before turning them all to stone and making a quick getaway. Then the film switches over to the second storyline. Billy Batson is speaking with a pediatrician hoping for advice on his lack of confidence. Once again, he feels like the wizard made the wrong decision by imbuing him with power. He's struggling to keep his family together and holding on to each of them too tightly. His siblings all want to help him, but they also want to live their own lives too. The third storyline is intertwined with the second one and sees Freddy, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, and Adam Brody, strike out on his own and meet a new girl at school, Anne, played by Rachel Zegler. He stands up for her, and the two connect over their similar home lives. The rest of the family members in the wizard Shazam all get their own mini storylines as well. The wizard lost hope in himself and his choice and had to be reminded he made the right one. Parents struggle with connecting to Billy, and his sisters and brothers struggle with the responsibility of power. Overall, the story tries to pack in too many different elements and ends up spreading itself too thin and switching between the stories too much. It's confusing and they don't develop any of the characters to a satisfying degree, which wastes the potential of each storyline. There are moments of deep emotion, a few good jokes, and a decent ending, but the overall product is lacking a heart at the center, something or someone to carry us along and keep us invested. There is also no sense of danger throughout the film, with the only on-screen deaths being implied deaths or CGI monsters being impaled by other CGI monsters. After the opener, the Daughters of Atlas cease to be terrifying and sort of fade into the background until the finale. When the finale kicks off, the film finally starts introducing some stakes and danger, but it's too little, too late, and they don't take the violence far enough. We see humans thrown around, and a CGI city gets destroyed, but that's about it. The story has a decent premise at its core, but it ends up being overstuffed, convoluted, and lackluster. The visuals, which should be a high point of the film, aren't. Half of the film is a complete CGI fabrication and it doesn't look good. They wanted to have grandiose sets, fights, and monsters, but all of them end up looking out of focus, slightly uncanny, and flat. At a certain point, fatigue sets in from the overusage of CGI for every single background, and your eyes almost get tired from taking it all in. The actors look like they're standing in front of a green screen, and at times they struggle to act in the space properly. It makes it very difficult to take the film seriously. The fights between the Shazam family and the Daughters of Atlas are slugfests, with a bit of power usage every now and again. They look basic and are kind of boring. The film doesn't capture the impact of any of it and fails to make the stakes feel real. The only time they manage to produce anything stimulating is during the finale, between Shazam and Calypso. It's a decent sequence of Shazam using his powers and actually enacting a plan of his own. It's still a CGI fest with Zachary Levi floating around on a wire, but there's this moment where the lightning is reflected in his eyes as he goes to strike a blow, and it looked pretty cool. Sound-wise, the film puts out a generic superhero-style soundtrack that follows the flow and emotions of the story quite well, but fails to be significant and unique. The orchestral backing is great at extracting every last bit of emotion from a scene, and helps drive home the point during big speeches and emotional exchanges. However, if you isolated any of these songs and listened to them, you'd be hard-pressed to tell which film the song was actually from. The tracks have a superhero sound to them that is quite common in DC films and superhero films in general. The only real saving grace of the film is the cast and how much effort they put into their characters. Everyone clearly wants to be here and make it work. None of them get quite enough time to make it so, but it's not from a lack of effort. Zachary Levi, Jack Dylan Grazer, Asher Angel, and Rachel Zegler were the standouts. Djimon Hounsou, Lucy Liu, and Helen Mirren also stand out, but none of them is given enough time to make their characters a significant part of the film. Zachary Levi plays the adult version of Billy Batson, and his slightly awkward but charismatic personality makes a lot of the joking, childlike nature of Shazam work. He does his best impression of a kid wearing his dad's shoes, and yet somehow makes the superhero parts toward the end of the film feel normal. Asher Angel plays the younger Billy Batson. He doesn't get nearly enough time to really flesh out his side of the character, but he plays the emotions of it incredibly well. I teared up a little when he finally opened up about his feelings. Jack Dylan Grazer is more confident in this film than the last, but still plays the bumbling fool in front of Anne. His vocal control is great, and he comes across as deeply infatuated with the new girl. He builds up good chemistry with Rachel Zegler, and his section with Demon Hansu was pretty funny. His comedic timing is good. Rachel Zegler plays a new character in the film, and at first seems like a normal teenage love interest. The film pretty quickly reveals her true nature, and she ends up being quite charismatic throughout. Her character is a bit of a trope, but she has good chemistry with Grazer and plays the emotions of her role in a genuine way. Overall, the film just doesn't offer anything of enough value to be considered entertaining. The story is an overstuffed mess, the visuals are a CGI nightmare, and the soundtrack is generic and forgettable. The only thing that really holds this movie together is the cast, and their dedication to the story, but none of them gets enough time to really make a mark. The film doesn't try anything new, working on recycled tropes for the main storylines and failing to do anything new or exciting with the visuals. Its soundtrack is too safe, and they aren't breaking any barriers with the cast. It's a safe production that just got lost somewhere in the mix. There are better superhero stories out there. Hell, there are better Captain Marvel comics. Go read one of those if you really want a Shazam fix. 4 out of 10. And remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!